or ice yet, but road crews and local residents have been working all day for the possibility that things could get worse. At Elizabethtown's Public Works Department, the trucks were filled up with salt. At the State Highway Department, more loads were brought in just in case. A Transportation Cabinet spokesperson says they're holding off on salting the roads so it doesn't get washed away by the rain. Meanwhile, the Elizabethtown Kroger was busy as folks stocked up on food and beverages, and local hardware stores like this Ace were busy selling salt, shovels, propane, and kerosene. First responders are also on high alert.
If you do not need to be out, if it's not an emergency or you have to go to work, then stay at home. That would be my number one advice to anyone is if you don't need to be out, don't be out. But obviously, if you do have to be out, you need to be very cautious. Put a little bit of forethought into leave a little bit ahead of schedule, give yourself more time to get to your destination.
Great advice. I just don't think that we can hear enough of that. And by the way, I heard that all the stores here in Hardin County are sold out of generators. Hopefully, we won't be needing them tomorrow. Live in E-Town, Mark Vanderoff, WLKY News.
Hopefully not, Mark. Thank you. Governor Andy Beshear and state crews are also keeping an eye on the winter weather. This morning, Kentucky Emergency Management activated its State Emergency Operations Center at level 4. 2,000 snow and ice crews will be working to keep the roadways safe tonight. And the governor is stressing that if you do not need to go out, please stay home.
We have worked too hard to get through COVID, and we've made too many sacrifices for us to lose anybody on the roads this afternoon or tomorrow morning. We've gotten really good at taking care of each other. Let's make sure that that's not just reserved for the pandemic, that we do that during this storm and other emergency situations as well.
Also, the regional vaccination sites are closed tomorrow because of this weather. But anyone who had an appointment there in Lexington, Bowling Green, or Covington will be scheduled for the same time next week. Now, stay up to date on this changes during the changing weather conditions by downloading our free WLKY mobile app. You can find the latest alerts, forecast, and school closings. And be sure to tune in for WLKY News in the morning starting at 4 a.m.
Laying out their case, opening arguments started today in Donald Trump's second impeachment trial. A look at the new evidence House managers are presenting coming up next.
And the CDC updates their guidance on wearing masks, why new research shows that 2 is better than 1. Those details next on the News at 5.
You're watching WLKY News.
The Senate gavelled in at noon for the start of the House impeachment manager's presentations to Senate jurors.
And with the help of extensive video, they're arguing that former President Trump began inciting the mob even prior to his big speech on the day of last month's deadly attack. Our Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
House managers are spending the day of the Senate impeachment trial laying out their case that former President Trump directly incited the January 6th Capitol attack.
Donald Trump surrendered his role as commander-in-chief and became the inciter-in-chief.
President Trump requested that we be in D.C. on the 6th.
They wouldn't have listened to you, to me. Our commander-in-chief had the power to stop it, and he didn't.
To make the case, House managers are expected to use never-before-seen video, including footage from U.S. Capitol security cameras, to help illustrate the extent of the assault.
This election was rigged. The left lies, they cheat, and they steal.
House managers also argued that the former president's words and actions prior to that day primed rioters to travel to Washington on January 6th.
He built this mob over many months with repeated messaging until they believed that they had been robbed of their vote.
House managers will have up to 2 days for their arguments. Then on Friday, the clock starts for the president's legal team, who will also have up to 16 hours for their case. One of the former president's top Senate allies, Lindsey Graham, says he spoke to Mr. Trump after his defense attorney's presentation on Tuesday was widely criticized. Senator Graham said he told the president, quote, "The case is over. It's just a matter of getting a final verdict down."
I will listen to these arguments as I did to the arguments yesterday with an open mind.
Assuming that all Senate Democrats and independents vote to convict, House managers would have to convince at least 17 Republicans to join them. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Natalie, thanks. Today, the president's lawyers pushed back on reports saying former President Trump did not express displeasure with their Tuesday performance.
Today, Indiana outlined the next phases of its vaccination plan. First, the state reported more than 1,400 new COVID cases. 52 more Hoosiers have died. The 7-day positivity rate is now down to 6.2%. And right now, people 65 and older are eligible for the vaccine in Indiana. It will start with expanding to 60 years and older before moving to people 50 years and older.
Nearly 858,000 Hoosiers are in their 50s. So expanding to this group will be a large undertaking that will require ample supplies of vaccine. Again, I urge you to please be patient while we wait for those supplies to arrive.
State officials say they have 290 vaccination sites, but could easily triple that number if their supply increased.
Meantime, today, Governor Beshear reports 1,900 new COVID cases here in the Commonwealth. 49 more Kentuckians died, raising the death toll to more than 4,100 overall. The positivity rate is slowly coming down. Today, it sits at 7.5%. Right now, more than 1,100 people are in Kentucky hospitals battling the virus.
Americans should be prepared to mask up for some time as the nation works to get the coronavirus pandemic under control. Today, the CDC updated its mask-wearing guidance after new research suggests 2 masks are better than 1. A CDC lab study shows wearing 1 mask protects the wearer from around 40% of particles coming in, compared to a cloth mask over a surgical mask that blocks 80%.
We continue to recommend that masks should have 2 or more layers, completely cover your nose and mouth, and fit snugly against your nose and the sides of your face.
Today, a 24-hour vaccine mega hub opened at Citi Field in New York City. So far, nearly 33 million Americans have received at least 1 vaccine dose.
Now, your WLKY weather with Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi.
Hi, folks. Hope you're having a great day. I know, not the world's best weather day out there. You're looking at live pictures from the WLKY drive cam as we're heading southbound Interstate 265 there. And you can see, actually, roadway looks to be in pretty good shape. Speeds are up, basically just wet, but we still have that wintry precipitation coming down. It's sleet, it's freezing rain in and around the metro. And I think once we move into the dark hours, we lose this solar insulation. Believe it or not, the sun's rays still reach the pavement and help melt off some of this stuff. Once that stops, once the sun goes down, we're going to be looking at some icy spots developing area-wide. So please, please, please be careful if you're going to be out and about. Live look outside right now from the tower cam. This is back towards downtown Louisville. You can see that north wind right there, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Little fuzzy, that's the sleet, that's the freezing rain that continues to fall around the metro. Kind of icy, 31 degrees current temperature, humidity 89%, a north wind between 5 and 10 miles an hour. We're going to zoom in tight here on the viewing area. Now look at this temperature range. This is why this precipitation has formed. Whenever you have a tight temperature gradient like we have today in a very short amount of space, a few ripples in the atmosphere moving through, boy, can cause problems, especially when temperatures are below freezing. We have lower 20s in our northern communities to around 31, 32 degrees in downtown Louisville, and we're in the mid-40s down in Columbia and Adair County. That much, a 20-degree change, is causing some of this precipitation to form. And again, this is icy precipitation, a winter storm warning in effect for the I-64 corridor. This will take us through tonight into tomorrow morning, including the metro. Ice storm warning still in effect from Shepherdsville and points southward through the Commonwealth. In blue, that's a winter weather advisory. Hey, the bottom line, it's kind of dangerous out there on this Wednesday late afternoon. Going to stay that way as we move into this Wednesday night. Basically just rain, our far southern communities. You go up to near E-Town, they're starting to get into some light freezing rain, but a bulk of the problems have been north of the parkways through Louisville this afternoon. Farther north, we get into sleet and snow, and I think overall this scenario is going to continue the next several hours. The pink zone, basically all freezing rain south of Louisville, could see upwards of a half inch, maybe a little bit more of ice. Power lines, trees, that could be enough to cause some power outages and also some tree damage. And again, I realize that if you're south of the parkways, you haven't seen anything just yet. It hasn't been cold enough. As the night wears on, I think that will be changing, so something to keep in mind. Okay, in the orange zone, including Louisville, southern Indiana, anywhere from 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch of ice. Isolated power and tree issues could occur. Farther off to the north, basically light snow and sleet. An inch or two expected. If you have to travel, please, please, please be very, very careful. As far as the 7-day forecast is concerned now, here we go. Tomorrow we're talking about the icy mix still around early. Then things will improve as we move through the day. The precipitation will shut off. We'll top out around 30. It's going to be quiet on Friday. There could be a little bit of light snow Saturday. Hey, Vicki Stefan, here's the deal. Next week, it looks unbelievably active right now. This could be a big winter storm here Monday night into Tuesday, and there could be yet another one next Thursday as this very unsettled weather pattern continues. Hey, for weather guys, it's fun. For everybody else, I know
For the rest of us, you could have given us a heads up and we would have gone south on vacation for a week.
And, you know, I would have gone with you too. Why not, right?
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Sure thing.
Raising awareness about the dangers of burns and not just from fires. Up next, a warning from doctors about the threats faced in everyday life.
And reflecting on integration, a woman shares her story of being the first Black students in her high school. Our History and Hope series is still ahead.
But first, a look at your lottery jackpots. Friday's Mega Millions rises to $82 million. Tonight's Powerball is $42 million. Good luck.
Another record high for the Dow today. It climbs 62 points. The Nasdaq's down 35. The S&P falls 1 1/3. This week is Burn Awareness Week, and U of L Health is working to raise awareness about some of the most common dangers we face.
Julie Dolan explains how today's winter weather could pose problems.
U of L Hospital is home to the only adult burn center in Kentucky and treats up to 350 burn patients each year.
When most of us think of a burn patient, we think of a fire. But doctors at U of L Health are reminding people that dangers exist beyond that. For example, electrical burns.
They're caused by an electrical source. So the classic is, like a kid sticking keys in the wall outlet, all the way up to high voltage power lines that workers work on.
Dr. Matt Bozeman says electrical burns can also be caused by household items like batteries or cell phones. He says serious electrical burns can cause muscle damage, kidney damage, or even cardiac arrhythmia.
The heart works on tiny electrical shocks, and so a major electrical burn can override that system and essentially disrupt the electrical connections in the heart and stop the heart.
People underestimate the danger that exists with simple things that we do.
Burn program manager Michelle Brewer says that last year the burn center admitted 10 patients for serious electrical burns, but Bozeman says their clinic treated more than 3 times that, and many of these patients take months to recover.
They're not the most common type of injury, but they are quite severe and they require a longer length of stay, and sometimes can require multiple surgeries.
With the impending winter weather and chance for down power lines, now's the best time to remind people of the dangers they can pose. I'm Julie Dolan, WLKY News.